How could you? Fix your mouth to say that we're the same when one of us can't even remember the other one's name. You think I'm my brother, my sister, my cousin, hell, someone that ain't even my kin. Let me guess. It's because we all have the same skin. How could you?
Say all lives matter when it's clear and blatant that mine don't. Do you really see me or hear me? Or is it that the racist in you won't let you see that I'm guilty without a cause and black with no applause from the person telling me we're the same? You. How could you?
Say you're not like one of those black people when you can't even tell us apart. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm supposed to be submissive and docile before the game even starts. How could you?
Is that how you tell us apart? Not from my beautiful chocolate smile and my nice coiled fro, but from how obedient I am to you? And that's how you know. And once you know, they all know that this one will comply and put on a show. How could you?
Act like you don't see us dying while complying. Or smell the blood. Or see the tears. Or know the fears. Or get the trauma. Or even want to understand the drama that we face just because of a pigment. Has the fairy tale life you built yourself allowed you to remain this willfully ignorant? How could you?
Act like you don't understand my struggle. You have been spoon-fed since the OBGYN first saw the tip of your head. Since my first cry, I've had to struggle. How could you?
Ask me to change to be more like you? This soul, this swag, this style. You can't take it. You ain't gotta say it. I know. It's too cool. But there's a meaning behind each expression. And if you tried to understand on your own, you wouldn't need to sit down for this social lesson. How could you?
Act like you don't understand my rage. We built this shit, and we will burn this motherfucker down to make you feel our pain. How could you?
Put us through 400 years of pain and torment, then twist it around modern day only to do the same old shit. How could you?
Lock up black men for life for marijuana, while white men and white women open dispensaries in California. How could you?
Take a knee to a man's neck. He's screaming, I can't breathe. Content with it all, to know you'll go home free and get paid leave. How could you?
Love our culture yet hate us so much. Is it the way we carry ourselves or because there's soul in every touch? How could you?
Say you believe in equality when you assume the worst from someone who looks like me. How could you paint the streets and say you heard us, but won't lock up Breonna Taylor's murderers? How could you?
Believe in justice for some and not all. Whether male, female, or trans, rich, poor, or tall. Don't we all deserve to be protected? How could you?
Say Black Lives Matter, yet you still continuously disrespect us. How could you hear me calling out my last breath, yet you still continue to press your knee in my neck? How could you?
Just stand around and record, or expect me not to fight back. How could you hunt me down as I jog, as I sleep, as I shop? How could we not stick together because that's all we got? How could you?
Not understand the irony of your mission trips. History remembers the hands that came and stole bodies and land while claiming it's a part of a divine plan ordained by a marginalized, dark-skinned Jesus. How could you?
Believe the Spirit leads you to return to a crime scene where atrocities occurred to repent, repair, and return what was so violently misearned. Yet you fly across the sea to see people who look just like me and exploit them for your social media feeds. How could you?
Fail to realize you follow in the same footsteps as generations since past, as you come and exploit our bodies in exchange for likes and cash. How could you?
Claim we are complicit in our own demise, raising concern about Black on Black crime in order to further vilify our brown and Black bodies. The same bodies who built this country from nothing and jump-started an entire global economy. Yet, you diminish us, berate us as if we're to fucking blame for the mess you continue to make. How could you?
Rewrite history to alleviate your own cognitive dissonance. Rewriting the story so you can claim it was victimless. The hero and not the villain. Not abuser but a victim. How could you fail to see that the shit you celebrate is because of people like me? How could you?
Expect us to believe anything you fucking say. You have lied from the start, torn our bodies apart for sport, burning us in public, hanging us from trees, even passing laws to say we're less than human beings. How could you?
Vilify, defraud, and bleed us dry. And you can't understand why we refuse to be denied? How could you?
Demand that I pledge allegiance to a flag whose broad stripes are more like broad bars that incarcerate me 5 times the rate, trying to contain all this blackness in a 6x8. Imagine that. I imagine those bright stars lighting the Atlantic as colonizers pillaged our lands and trafficked our Black bodies, robbed us of our crowns, got us thinking we nobodies. Imagine that.
But how could you? Imagine being stripped down, stacked up, transported all around. Nigga, you better get up. Plow that field and that ain't enough, nigga. Cotton better be this high, nigga, or Master gon' fuck you up, nigga. I say, Master gon' fuck you up. No, I say, America KKK gon' fuck you, then free you to reconstruct you, then separate but equal you, only to brutalize and disenfranchise you.
And in 64, hey, we be free at last, free at last, free at last. God almighty, free. As long as you don't cross them red lines in the dirt, nigga, else you get hurt, nigga.
But it's okay, nigga. Those boots got straps, nigga, so you best pull yourself up, nigga. That's what they'll tell us to shut us up, nigga. Then with a wink and a nod, tell us, go on out there and be great, nigger. How could you?
Ignore my blackness because you don't see color? Turn a blind eye when you see my struggle. But you see it. You just choose to turn your head when you want to. How could you?
Say nigga in a rap song. But when I ask you not to, it's a fight. Yeah, See, I like to say I'm surprised, but now my eyes are open. Open to the truth. Open to the things that you let slide because they don't abide or collide with your worldview. How could you?
Ignore my blackness. Oh, it must be because I'm not like the others. I'm a good Black, right? Because I talk white. Yeah. All right. How could you?
Ignore my dark, coffee, smooth, melanated skin. The sun complements my radiance with rays I bask in. My culture, my Black, my skin is not a trend. And guess what? I'm Black outside and in. How could you?
Ignore me one day, then use me the other. There you go again, parading that you invited me, but then not hearing me when I get to the table.
There I go again, becoming a check mark in your diversity box. My value exceeds your thoughts of me. Matter of fact, how could you still possibly think the way that you do? Your mental inclination does not hold more weight than the actual, indisputable truth of your ancestors. And you too. How could you?
Make us do a whole video, but it won't matter though, because you are watching, your feelings won't go to or fro. Yeah, I know you hate us. May that hate keep serving and motivate us. Yeah, you can try and break us down, but you'll never do. Break us. How could you?
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 Could you?
How 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 could you? Could you?
How 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 could you?
Could you?
How could you?
How could you?